art. I like to use what's called expressionist colors, where the color is not necessarily the color that you would find in reality, but with art you can do whatever you want. In Barbados, art is the donkey that pulls the cultural cart.
I just want to say that we must remember who actually gave us the arts, how it came about. And it was the Egyptians. The Egyptians gave us, in fact, all 7 liberal arts. We must understand how important the arts are to us as a people. It is about us. It's about our contribution to world affairs.
I think that the visual arts has been one of the ways in which we can enlighten the world about what we are about here in this region. It's carnival, yes, the music festivals, yes, our music obviously has hit the worldwide market in a major way. You have the Bob Marley movie out now, which is a major influence to me. He was an artist who influenced me growing up as a youngster as well. But I think the visual art has so much growth around it and surrounded it, and we have so much talent in our region that we needed an event like CAFA to present that to the world. And that's what we see ourselves as a stage where artists can expose their talent, and professionals out there, the gallery owners, the curators, the museum professionals, and so on. Many of them have come here over the years and seen the talent, and a lot of these artists who've come through have gone on to bigger and better things in their professional careers. For the years, again, they've been very supportive. The Division of Culture now, Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc. and various manifestations have been quite supportive. And the hotel sector, many of the smaller hotels and so on that we have worked with, we've brought many visitors here, but the hotels have also been supportive in assisting us with bringing some of our expert colleagues, assisting us with the accommodation for some of those folks. And even some of the smaller businesses who have seen say apartment hotels, a lot of them, they're not big name chains and the bigger hotels, but we work with many of them, locally owned accommodations to bring our artists and our visitors and our colleagues who are looking for good value because they want to spend their money on the island. Folks come down here to attend this event, they want to get out and enjoy the local cuisine, go around the island, and support even the artists and the vendors that they meet creating wonderful work here. So they'd rather spend less money on the accommodation and more on the public and to put it straight into the economy, which I think works much better for everybody. One of the sections in the fair annually has been, well, since the third year, we've had the Diaspora Dialogue exhibit within the fair, which is presented artists of African ancestry from around the world. So from the US, we've had artists from Brazil, I'm going to say from several parts of Africa. This year, we have artists representing Senegal, Ghana, and Nigeria at the fair, as well as from the US. This year, they said we have artists representing 16 Caribbean nations at the fair. Many of them wanted to come, and we're going to have about 60% of the participating artists from inside of Barbados here in person. CAFA Fair allows the artists to showcase their work without the overall management of a gallery. And once they come to CAFA, they get to meet people who are in the gallery business, who are in the museum sector and cultural centers and so on and so forth, not just in the Caribbean, but outside of the Caribbean. So this is an opportunity for them to showcase that talent to the world. So it's become a focal point for many artists around the region to want to be in Barbados in March, to participate in this event. And it's beyond just selling your art, which obviously you want to do. You want to be able to sell the art directly, and collectors are coming, more and more of them are seeing the opportunity to come down and get artwork below market prices, way below market prices at this point. Caribbean art is still undervalued, I believe, and there's a lot of opportunity for growth and value, especially with the emerging artists. So
if you're an artist, Barbados is the place to be in March. CAFA Fair, Barbados, March, every year. That's the place to be, right?
That's it. That's it.
Now, here's the thing. The dichotomy. The hypothesis, the strange anomaly, an unspoken perception in operation, where art is dumbed down to nothing more than the precursor of culture, where an artist is not an artist, but a cultural practitioner.
The national focus remains sharply on culture, and thousands of tourists pour into the island each year for the annual crop over.
So one last time, all of your best friends, all of you, one last time.
We have seen with music, for example, how independents have been able to not just to produce work, but to distribute work and to sell work through the expert manipulation of digital processes and virtual platforms, while at the same time remaining independent. By its very nature, the fourth IR offers this proposition to all creatives, whatever the sector. What COVID-19 has done is to speed up the move towards the fourth IR, recognizing that as resources become more and more scarce, it is the creativity and innovation of the human resource that will furnish revenue streams and drive economies. Now, this could become a real leveler, both for individuals and for nations who are smart enough to grasp the opportunity?
COVID.
I think the impact of COVID started to manifest itself in some of the work that I did. As artists on the island, we have been affected quite a lot, and we've had to look at other ways of navigating the space and still reaching out and sharing and showing our work. We weren't having people in our studio space, and so my time, I think I spend more time working now than I did, in the sense that I'm doing a lot more editing, a lot more video production, a lot more creating. And as I say, a lot more people are getting online, and you're getting to know a lot more about the work that's being done. And I think that's a good thing, you know, where we just focused on tourists coming to the island, we're taking what we do here and, you know, sending it out to the world.
I would say this is going to become very key for creatives post-COVID, as we begin to digitize our work, but both in terms of using digital processes to develop the work as well as to show the work. So I'm going to hand over to Anika, who is going to talk us through that process. Right. Over to you.
Thank you, Alan. Yes, COVID has really changed our lives, and one of the things that we have found was the need to change with COVID as well. So with Artists Alliance, we went from what was a rail situation where we have a lot of rail exhibitions with a digital component. The digital component generally was about selling the artwork. And now we're at a space where we're having exhibitions which are only virtual exhibitions because we can't really get out too much, or there's a limitation. So for us, what we try to do is to create a visitor experience that will probably mimic in some ways the experience in a gallery in a real setting. So it's not only about creating the exhibition, it's about creating the exhibition and then sharing that exhibition. So getting visitors to see it. So either sending out information via like WhatsApp, like, hey, we have an exhibition, take a look. And then as Amanda will always say, how do you create like content around that exhibition that you can then share on the social media platforms? So they work hand in hand. Basically, as the curator or the person that's developing the concepts for the show, I'm not a web developer. So I work with the person who actually builds the site or builds the exhibition. There's a lot of important details, even in terms of people being able to find your site. So like search engines, so I think they call it the SEO. The SEO, so making sure you have all these things in place. Even sometimes when you go back and you check just like the links, the web addresses, make sure that they're all correct. And then when you're adding images, some of the things that come up could take time, but it's worth the effort.
Right now my craft is what? Using coconuts. What do? Like this. Take the coconut shell cycle, make the craft. Different ideas for shops. Here what I've been doing, I'm making, I will cut it out and then I will sand it. Cut it out, sand it, paint it, draw on it some pretty idea, different pretty ideas that you can see here. Or we do something like that. Shells from under the sea, or people that throw bottles, the glass breaks and then it runs down. You have something smooth like that, it won't cut you, but it is glass from the sea.
You need to put in together. You have to be willing to sacrifice. And the first time you will lose money, the second time you will lose money. But once you keep going and once you're willing to sacrifice as necessary and push as necessary, once you're able to do that, and it is difficult, you will be able to get through. That's what I was saying. Because as a musician, you are a business.
People don't like to pay you for your art. People don't see it as a business. People just see it as a hobby. If the church needed a plumber, they aren't going to call the plumber and say, alright, just kind of fix this pipe for me. The Lord will bless you. You don't worry that because that is his business. This is my business.
I teach music and I also coordinate the program. Technically, I am the head of the Performing Arts Department, and Performing Arts at BCC happens to be the theater, dance, and music. But in reality, I think I'm actually the coordinator of music. So we've been fortunate to have some wonderful students come through the program. Roughly about maybe 300 students we've graduated in the last 18 to 19 years that we've been here. And students, our expectations for them is that they will be able to function in Barbados as musicians, either full or part-time, and also to be able to function anywhere in the world.
The University of the West Indies offers a fine theatre experience for young people under the tutelage of Dr. Yvonne Weeks.
One of the main things we wanted for certain was to ensure that young people in the Caribbean would be able to see the Caribbean through theatre eyes, through cultural form, through folk form, through the traditions, cultural mores, values that encompass who we are as Caribbean people in terms of the theatre.
Look, anyways, let me change the subject. So, Auntie, when you gonna start practicing moves for the ballroom?
Who are you talking about?
For that tall glass of chocolate milk you got from Ma, honey. Here, woo, he's sweet.
Guys, there's something I actually need to tell y'all. I've kind of been saving myself for the big day. I mean, I am really excited to be sharing that part of me with the love of my life. But
in the end, it came down to three core things: the ability to analyze a text, especially Caribbean text, the ability to improvise, play, make, and do a play, and the ability to use cultural form as a mode of expression.
Currently I'm studying film and dance at the Errol Barrow Center for Creative Imagination, and that's just what I'm doing right now.
Okay, so Errol Barrow Center, is that part of the university? Is that part of the campus?
Yeah, definitely it's a part of the campus. It's I think the youngest part of the campus, and it's also been placed over there, so there's a little separation, but we have a whole facility for ourselves finally, so we're making
and that's strictly for the arts?
Strictly arts.
So what made you get into dance on what is essentially a very academic island?
To be honest, Michael Jackson. Plain and simple, Michael Jackson. Barbados really cares about arts during crop over season, and the occasional NIFCA interest that people may have and leave their house. Apart from that, it's very desolate the artistic community, we're the ones who support one another. It's not necessarily at the public supporting and seeing what we showcase.
The opportunity was here for a filmmaker to join what is known as the Arabara Center for Creative Imagination, EBCCI. And I came here as a senior lecturer in film because I had spent at least 30 years living in the US, working as a filmmaker and also teaching film. I taught film at Howard University. There were a number of persons who were making films. It would become more accessible to give them a sense of guidance, a sense of my experience, to give them the opportunity to create the conditions for them to tell their own history, to make their own mark, to tell their own stories, because that is especially important for young people. And so that was my initiation into the University of West Indies. The EBCCI, the Arabara Center for the Creative Imagination. It's a fabulous title. Why? Because the imagination is power. And artists know that. And artists are aware that if you can dream it, you can conceive, construct, and build. Film is an area where the region has suffered because of the inundation of the Hollywood product. Films that are made, designed, constructed with a narrative that speaks to the identity of the European being. At a certain level, we have our writers, not simply just to write our own literature, but to write and to express the reality that we were living here in the Caribbean and the importance of audiences to engage with material that did that. Film, then, has no choice. The filmmaker has no choice but to take up that mission, to tell its own story and to tell the story of a region. What that means in terms of education is that it acknowledges, again, a colonial history that needs to find change, to not simply try to replicate, again, this Hollywood, even though you understand how they work, this Hollywood brand. And we look, therefore, to others within the developing world who have been dealing with that issue and who have, to my mind, established a foundation for which we have to study how they managed to do it. We have to look at Cuba and the Cuban films, going back from the revolution and 1959 and beyond, what they managed to achieve in the 60s, Memories of Development, Lucia. But even that, when you think about the 60s, you think also about the movements for independence in Africa. So we got to look at the work of Ousmane Sembène and Diop Mbeki and a lot of other films, African films, that are fighting this subjugation of visual mindset.
Andrew, given that whole scenario that we've painted, what's the exact exit strategy for a student of film at ABCCI? Where to as a graduate? And what role, guidance, created opportunity, whatever that role might be, can the institution play for those graduates? In the absence of a fully fledged film industry, and we accept that as a given, so what then is the exit strategy for those graduates?
Yeah, it's a very important question because we have to acknowledge that we are not giving students simply the skills. We are fomenting the creative juices so that they can create their own industry. What I mean by that is industries are built by small businesses who over time develop very important stepping stones towards the establishment of something that is sustained. All right? And hopefully the role of the university is to create the conditions not only for the work to be made, but to have the makers understand how in fact their work is commoditized, is monetized, is given value. So they have to learn that this work is distributed, that there is an art to distribution and exhibition, that there's something called intellectual property, and so within the global framework of trade and business, they have to learn how to protect their copyright and their investment, and to ensure that they can not only just simply move the money that they earn back into their businesses, but also for that money then to create new products, to create new and exciting ways of establishing their brand, to see the niches in various markets, to understand how they can build collectively something they can be proud of in the future.
Alan is giving the keynote speech at the Regional Drama Festival in Anguilla.
And I want to talk to you specifically about the arts as an economic engine, because I do believe that the arts can be monetized, and that we need to recognize that, because we are missing a trick when it comes to the arts. In 2015, the dollar worth of the creative industries and the cultural industries, no, two different things, the creative industries and the cultural industries to the US economy was 10% of their GDP. In monetary terms, that 10% is equal to $704.2 billion to the US economy, the creative arts. Now, as a comparison, the manufacturing industries in the US is equal to 11% of GDP. The creative industries is equal to 10%. Therefore, can you imagine that from the arts, the US make almost as much money as they do from the huge manufacturing base in the United States? That tells you something about the potential of the arts to make money. Can we not replicate that proportionately in Anguilla and Barbados and the Caribbean? But we're not doing it because we're missing a trick.
We're very creative people, but what we find is that our traditional education systems are beating that creativity out of us and out of our children.
You're both drama students?
Yes.
Okay, so Charisma's looking at singing. What are you looking at?
Mostly modeling and acting.
Modeling and
That's
acting. Okay. So you both want a career in the arts?
Yes.
You're both looking at a career in the arts. Do you think you will find that in Angola?
Yes. If we make it for ourselves.
You're going to make it for yourself? Yeah. Okay. That's good. Do you see that developing more in the future so that you actually get paid for your work as professionals?
I would love it.
Nearby St. Martin and the world-famous beach at Princess Juliana Airport.
we're here this evening with two creatives from the beautiful island of St. Martin. And we have on the right is
Joanna Trim.
Joanne Trim, and on the left
is Shuja Ref.
Okay, could you both tell us a little bit about what you do in St. Martin? Let's start with you, Joanne.
Well, I'm an English language, literature and drama teacher at the St. Martin Academy. I've been there for approximately 2 years, and I also assist with English at the Charlotte Brookson Academy of the Performance Arts.
Okay, so basically you are arts educationalist.
Yes.
Can we put it that way? Okay, and Suja?
Well, I'm the founding member of the Conscious Lewis Foundation. I'm the president. Our foundation has been existing for the last 28 years. We are in partnership with the House of Nehesi Publishers, a publishing house in St. Martin, where we organize the literary festival.
All right, so you're working with artists.
Yes.
And training and developing artists. Do you see yourself as training and developing artists for them not to have to do it as a hobby? Will there be an opportunity for them later on, hopefully in St. Martin, to make a living out of the arts? What's the pathway towards that? Let's start with you, Suja.
I think education is the pathway. I think one needs to know that what they're doing is really a job. What they're doing is a profession. It's something that could help them to make a living. We haven't had that as yet. So I think we are in the process of helping people to understand that.
We spoke with Master Drummer Juni.
My father, the drummer, he's one of the famous bands in St. Martin, the Creole Stars.
How do you find your work? You have an agent or a manager or somebody in the band?
Yeah. You have a manager.
The manager finds the work.
Yeah, man, even they call us. That we step, you know.
And you're ready to go. You just wait for the call and you're ready to go.
Ready to go, my brother. Tonight we're gonna have Claudius Phillips playing it tonight.
Right here.
Right here, yeah.
Right here on stage.
Right here on stage.
Excellent.
So we're getting it together now and we'll get some rest and come back later.
Okay, so you're doing your sound check.
Right.
Then home for a rest.
Come back
to the business.
You don't know.
I like that. All right, brother.
All right,
Thank
buddy.
you very much. Good luck tonight.
All right, man. See you around.
Bless you.
Leaving the Caribbean behind, the UK beckons. Known as the arts and culture capital of the world, the London art scene is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Brixton, the Caribbean capital of Britain.
But how do British Caribbean artists fare? What can we learn from their experience?
Nowadays people think about fame and they think about glory and they don't think that actually it's a business. And if you forget the business, you have no career. The other thing that's important is about the context in which we work. There's a very small stream of work that involves the classical repertoire and a particular kind of work that gets funded again and again and again. And the kind of work that we're talking about, those voices are not having an opportunity to find their space.
Going further, I'm going to bring a producer here. He's a songwriter, he's a musician, he's a very wonderful, talented man. Come on, the people hand for Mr. Alan Springer.
Left Barbados and come to England when I was a youth. Worked around in London, first as a musician and then as a writer and director in the theatre. So I've worked in the arts pretty much most of my life. Returned home to Barbados about 4 or 5 years ago. And when I got back to the Caribbean, I found out that the Caribbean is loaded with talent, loaded with artists, visual artists, sculptors, actors, dancers, musicians, you name it. But there's a problem in that there's not much outlet for their arts, and they don't even have a vision of being market ready and reaching not just a regional audience but an international audience.
Art, we know, is good for people's soul. It's good for, you demonstrate that it's good for you know, as an education tool, as a resource to make people feel better in all kinds of ways. So from a moral point of view, all governments should fund arts. However, I actually believe, maybe naively so, that art is sustainable. Art is sustainable. Art is sustainable.
The South Bank, the beautiful Arts and Cultural Centre in South London.
Alan is meeting with some friends from his blockbuster reggae musical.
My involvement in Rainbow Uprising was both from a performance point of view and also from a business point of view in terms of marketing the actual project that we brought to Sadler's Wells and to the Shaw Theatre and to the Astoria as well. It was a time when there were a lot of people that wanted to be part of the arts, and this, Alan provided a vehicle for musicians, for artists, for makeup people, for costume people, for dancers and other professionals backstage to also get involved. So that's what I love about Rainbow Uprising. We were so pleased, we were so proud, because you know what it was? We started with small little workshops, and then after the workshops finished, Alan announced that we were going to be doing it at Sadler's Wells. Well, we all nearly fell over because we just couldn't believe it.
Close friend Valerie Paul also worked on Rainbow Uprising.
Hey girl!
Don't hey girl me, you stubborn old fool.
What I do, you know?
Currently starring in her new play, Fix Up.
I was in lots of different drama groups, which was good and entertaining. I thoroughly enjoyed them. Then Rainbow Uprising came along and basically blew my mind, because I was working with people like me who I could identify with, the whole cast, the whole experience, what rainbow signified. Black culture, black identity was just, so it wasn't really just a play for me, it was a part of discovering who I was.
So, Don Charles, it's good to speak with you again.
The pleasure is all mine, my
Yeah.
brother.
Good, and I'm pleased to hear that you have another project that we're about to get into. You can tell me about that in a while. But I was wondering, could you tell me something about what made you get in contact with me? What was it about my ad that made you think, yeah, let me give this a try?
I think, the key things for me was, when I did my due diligence on you, I looked at your track record, and I looked at samples of your work, and most importantly, your pricing policy met with our budget. That was one of the key things.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, I'm pleased you got in contact, and it was really good working with Sustainable Records, and looking forward to the next project. But I mean, having said all that, what I like about working with you on Sustainable Records is the three-partite kind of arrangement. I'm based in Barbados, you're based in London, and then we're working with the musicians, and to a large extent, all the camera work is over on the African continent in Tanzania.
I mean, that's one of the wonders of digital technology, is that, we can have this three-way collaboration.
Okay, tell me something. In your line of work as a musician, producer, music producer, and film producer, how are you finding this situation post-COVID, where you can't have face-to-face meetings? Filming must be difficult. I don't know what the situation is in Tanzania. how are you finding the ability to use electronic media as a support to your work? Talk to me a little bit about that. Could you have managed without that? And to what extent are you able to use it to facilitate the various projects that you get involved with?
Yeah, well, I mean, prior to the COVID, the pandemic and the lockdown, we were more focused on, doing performances, live performances and shows and bookings and things like that. But since the COVID situation developed, we have now transitioned from doing the live shows to, mainly having a digital presence. So to that extent, I've had to upgrade my website, and invested more. I've invested more in digital advertising, in social media advertising. So, we now are investing more in TikTok and in Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. So we are making that transition from being the organization that, was more focused on live shows to now focusing on the digital media and our social media platform.
Great. I mean, that's a good overview of how electronic media, the virtual space and so on can be used to support the kind of work we do.
Yeah.
But okay, let's go to this next project that's coming up, because that I'm really looking forward to, and obviously we're going to have to do a lot more talking on it. But I understand the script, the lyrics I'm about to receive is on the topic of FGM, female genital mutilation. So I'm taking it we're going to use the same formula we used before. You'll send me the lyrics. I will look at the lyric and out of that produce a script, which I will return to you. That script will then be I'll return the script with some ideas about footage that I will need.
Yeah.
You will then transfer that to Tanzania. They'll shoot the footage. That will come back to me.
Yeah.
I will complete the editing. Presto, video completed.
Let us join forces and outlaw FGM. Cutting those genitals is child abuse, I call on government to implement a ban on FGM. Cutting those genitals is child abuse, No, it's violence against children who did not give their consent. It's a violation on children's rights, cutting violence, their body and mind, yes. It's violence against children who did not give their consent. It's a violation on children's rights, cutting violence, their body and mind, yes.
This then brings us to a vision of the future. We are at the Lloyd Erskine Sanford Center, where the AnimeCon Festival is in town.
Are you local?
Yes.
Have you been to AnimeCon before?
Yes, 8 years running now.
8 years running, so you obviously love it. Who you dressed as?
Snow White.
Snow White. So here we have Snow White. Have you been before?
This is my second year.
Second time. You enjoyed last year?
Yeah.
So you're back again.
The most public of my companies is AnimeCon. It is a pop culture convention. It is the largest pop culture convention in the Eastern Caribbean. What we do, we celebrate creativity and fun, and we help persons who are creative. We believe that the creatives have been unheard. So what AnimeCon is striving to do is to create a balance where the persons who have a lot of talent, and we have international level talent right here in Barbados and in the region, we want to celebrate it and make sure the persons are recognized and they can monetize what they are good at.
This relates more to me and my generation. So when I come to AnimeCon, I come here to vibe with everybody here. When I go to Kaduman, it's just hot, sweaty, and you just walk about in the sun. This is fun. I like this. I feel good here.
Well, I personally came for the K-pop, but I mean, I also like anime, so. First, your turn. I came for the anime and the K-pop. I came for anime and K-pop. I came mostly for the K-pop and the anime, but I really wanted to see like the fairy tale and like different anime to watch. I'm Todoroki Shoto, the villain version from Hero Academia, and I just dressed up because I love the anime so much, and I wanted to just express how much I love this character.
I'm Shion from that time I got reincarnated as a slime. I did a beach version because she wears a pantsuit and I do not want to be hot at all. And I cosplay because it's a form of expression for me, and it's a really great way to get like that out, and I love anime so much.
Very creative because I love art and stuff like that, and I see anime as an art. Just from the storylines to the characters, and it's art to me. I'm actually inspired by a group called 80s. It's a K-pop group. It's a Korean group. So today we're doing a concert called Holla Holla. So you can check it out on YouTube.
So
by 80s. Yeah, it's 4 of us, but yeah.
How many times have you been?
My 6th time here.
6th time? You obviously enjoy it then? Have fun. And here we are in the 21st century, where the 4th Industrial Revolution brings together a range of technologies, driving a climate of creativity and innovation that is transforming the way we live and radically disrupting how we do business in pretty much every possible business sector.